Hello and welcome to our podcast. The title of our podcast is Memory and Adolescents. We chose this podcast because we thought it would be a suitable title and would help us as teachers.
There are three different learning methods, which are known as the VAC. These were proposed by Neil Fleming in 1987. Each of the three ways of learning makes use of our three main visual receivers, and each responds to a different method of teaching. The kinesthetic learner must do things in order for them to learn through experience. They do not simply learn by being hands-on. This type of learner also learns through their whole body by movement and touch. Such learners can often remember how to carry out a practical task after completing it only once. This is through having a good motor coordination and thus a motor memory. Active learning must be employed by such learners. For example, walking while reciting material, fidgeting or jiggling their legs or feet. Neither verbal nor written instructions aid kinesthetic learners. Demonstrations and involvement through handling the learning materials are much more advantageous in this case. The visual learner understands information when they see it, remembering 75% of what they read or see. Such learners benefit from incorporating diagrams, charts and graphs into the handouts to display the information in an organised visual way alongside the text. For this type of learner, the use of well-organised PowerPoint presentations have just as much merit as a demonstration does in aiding learning. Visual learners remember information better when they write it down, and in order to learn material, covering and rewriting helps. Written instructions are preferred by visual learners rather than being instructed verbally. The auditory learner needs to hear information in order to learn it. Such learners often benefit from debates or discussions surrounding the topic being taught. This allows them to gain a better understanding of the topic. In order to improve the learning ability of auditory learners, teachers should regularly rephrase points while also varying the speed and volume at which they are said. In order for auditory learners to learn material from textbooks, such learners need to recite aloud the information numerous times. Verbal instructions are preferred by the auditory learner as they often find it difficult to work in a quiet environment for a long period of time.
Working memory is the faculty of the mind by which information is encoded, stored and retrieved. There are two types of memory known as working memory and long-term memory. Working memory is a cognitive system with a limited capacity that is responsible for temporarily holding information available for processing. Long-term memory is intended for storage of information over a long period of time. Non-declarative memory is a type of long-term memory that does not require conscious thought. It allows you to do things by rote. Non-declarative memory is linked to procedural memory. Procedural memory involves how to perform different actions and skills, for example, riding a bike. Declarative memory is memory of facts and events and refers to these memories that can be consciously recalled. The three types of declarative memory are episodic, autobiographical and semantic memory. Episodic memory, the memory of autobiographical events. Autobiographical memory consists of episodes relocated from an individual's life based on a combination of episodic and semantic memory. Semantic memory refers to general world knowledge that we have accumulated throughout our lives.
The first stage of adolescence occurs between the ages of 9 to 13 and is called early adolescence. During this initial stage, people experience growth spurts and also the development of secondary sexual characteristics. The second stage is called mid-adolescence and occurs between the ages of 14 to 15 years. At this stage, people develop separate identities to those of their parents. People also start to build new relationships with their peer groups and the opposite sex. A lot of these new relationships are formed through experimentation. The third and final stage occurs between the ages of 16 to 19 years. By now, adolescents have fully developed physical features and characteristics. They have formed a distinct sense of self along with their own well-formed opinions.
The experiment. To show the link between memory and adolescence, we held 3 experiments. We tested a mid-adolescent and late-adolescent subject in 3 sections. This aimed to combat the 3 styles of learners: visual, auditory and kinesthetic. In the memory test, which aimed to test visual learners, the mid-adolescent did not like this method. He found it least effective and would not use again. The late adolescent liked this method and would use again. In the video test, which aimed to test kinesthetic learners, the mid-adolescent did not like it. However, he found it somewhat effective and would use again. The late adolescent liked this as a tested memory and would use again. In the hearing test, which aimed to test auditory learners, the mid-adolescent liked the method. He found it effective and would use again. However, the late adolescent did not like the method and would not use again. By doing this, we have learned all students learn in a different way. It is important to recognise this as teachers, and in our classrooms we must facilitate learning for kinesthetic, auditory and visual learners.
That concludes our podcast. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching it because we enjoyed making it. Bye now.